Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Pijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodarandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodarandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right, so this evening we're reading from the Nectar of Instruction, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and we're going to be reading Text-1. Okay. Vacho vegam manasakroda vegam Jiva vegam udarapasta vegam Etan vegam yo vishaheta dira Sarvam apimam pritivim shashyat Vacho vegam manasakroda vegam Jiva vegam udarapasta vegam Etan vegam yo vishaheta dira Sarvam apimam pritivim shashyat Vacho vegam manasa kroda vegam Jiva vegam udarapasta vegam Etan veganyo vishaheta dira Sarvam apimam pritivim shashyat. Anyone like to chant? Vacho vegam manasakroda vegam Jivha vegam udarapasta vegam Etan vegam yo vishaheta dira Sarvam apimam pritivim shashyat. Anybody else like to chant? Vegam manasakroda vegam Jiva vegam udarapasta vegam Etan vegam yo vishaheta dira Sarvam abhimam prapatim shashashat. Okay. Okay, so translation. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Purport. In Srimad Bhagavatam 6, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text 9 and 10, Parikshit Maharaj placed a number of intelligent questions before Shukadeva Goswami. One of these questions was, why do people undergo atonement if they cannot control their senses? For instance, a thief may know perfectly well that he may be arrested for his stealing, and he may actually even see a thief arrested by the police, yet he continues to steal. Experience is gathered by hearing and seeing. One who is less intelligent gathers experience by seeing, and one who is more intelligent gathers experience by hearing. When an intelligent person hears from the law books and shastras or scriptures that stealing is not good and hears that a thief is punished when arrested, he refrains from theft. A less intelligent person may first have to be arrested and punished for stealing to learn to stop stealing. However, a rascal, a foolish man, may have the experience of both hearing and seeing, and may even be punished, but still he continues to steal. Even if such a person atones and is punished by the government, he will again commit theft as soon as he comes out of jail. If punishment in jail is considered atonement, what is the benefit of such atonement? Thus Parikshit Maharaj inquired. Just read the English. He compared atonement to an elephant's bathing. The elephant may take a very nice bath in the river, but as soon as it comes onto the bank, it throws dirt all over its body. What, then, is the value of its bathing? Similarly, many spiritual practitioners chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and at the same time commit many forbidden things, thinking that their chanting will counteract their offenses. Of the 10 types of offenses one can commit while chanting the holy name of the Lord, this offense is called Namno Baladyasya Hi Papa Buddhi, committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Similarly, certain Christians go to church to confess their sins, thinking that confessing their sins before a priest and performing some penance will relieve them from the results of their weekly sins. As soon as Saturday is over and Sunday comes, they again begin their sinful activities, expecting to be forgiven the next Saturday. This kind of prayaschitta, or atonement, is condemned by Parikshit Maharaj, the most intelligent king of his time. Shukadeva Goswami, equally intelligent, as befitting the spiritual master of Maharaj Parikshit, answered the king and confirmed that his statement concerning atonement was correct. A sinful activity cannot be counteracted by a pious activity. Thus, real prayaschitta, atonement, is the awakening of our dormant Krishna consciousness. Real atonement involves coming to real knowledge, and for this there is a standard process. When one follows a regulated hygienic process, he does not fall sick. A human being is meant to be trained according to certain principles to revive his original knowledge. Such a methodological life is described as tapasya. One can be gradually elevated to the standard of real knowledge or Krishna consciousness by practicing austerity and celibacy, brahmacharya, by controlling the mind, by controlling the senses, by giving up one's possessions in charity, by being avowedly truthful, by keeping clean, and by practicing yoga asanas. Interesting, Prabhupada adds that, huh? Yoga asanas. However, if one is fortunate enough to get the association of a pure devotee, he can easily surpass all the practices for controlling the mind by the mystic yoga process, simply by following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness, refraining from illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, and by engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master. This easy process is recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami. So we'll just read one more paragraph. First, one must control his speaking power. Every one of us has the power of speech. As soon as we get an opportunity, we begin to speak. If we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, we speak about all sorts of nonsense. A toad in a field speaks by croaking, and similarly everyone who has a tongue wants to speak. even if all he has to say is nonsense. The croaking of the toad, however, simply invites the snake, "Please come here and eat me." Nevertheless, although it is inviting death, the toad goes on croaking. The talking of materialistic men and impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers may be compared to the croaking of frogs. They are always speaking nonsense and thus inviting death to catch them. Controlling the speech, however, does not mean self-imposed silence, the external process of mauna, as Mayavadi philosophers think. Silence may appear helpful for some time, but ultimately it proves a failure. The meaning of controlled speech conveyed by Srila Rupa Goswami advocates the positive process of Krishna Katha, engaging the speaking process and glorifying the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. The tongue can thus glorify the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. The preacher of Krishna Katha is always beyond the clutches of death. This is the significance of controlling the urge to speak. Om Ganatamadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Maditamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karidvachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yakipatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dintaranam Vancha Kapadubishta Kripasindebevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu-Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here, Srila Rupa Goswami is giving us a description of one who is qualified to be a spiritual master or guru. And specifically, as Prabhupada writes in the preface, he says that these instructions of Srila Rupa Goswami are for all practitioners of bhakti yoga, and that all practitioners of bhakti yoga are supposed to control their senses, are encouraged to control their senses. And as Prabhupada writes in the preface, that's the first duty of one who is trying to make advancement of spiritual life, is that they control their mind and they control their senses. And specifically, he says that, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. And then he says, unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. And then he says, everyone's in this world is engrossed in the lower modes of passion and ignorance, and one must promote himself to goodness by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami. Then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. And he says, one should become a Goswami. The followers of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, or the followers of Krishna consciousness, they should be perfect Goswami. And Vaishnavas are generally known as Goswamis. And then he says that one must become a Goswami, and then after becoming a Goswami, one should become a pure devotee of Krishna. And then he says this is one of the reasons why Srila Rupa Goswami gave us his book, to teach us how to do that. To teach us how to be Goswamis and teach us how to be pure devotees. And we see that someone will say, oh, what's the big deal? Why do I have to control my senses? The senses have urges, material urges. Why can't I just spend my life fulfilling those urges? Because you could say that mode of operation is just operating on a level of lust, material lust. One is compelled by lust, which is the completely different, it's the opposite, complete opposite of Krishna Prem, love for Krishna. So that's the problem. If one doesn't want to be a devotee, or if one doesn't want to be spiritually advanced, then it's not really a problem. In the sense, it's not really a problem in the sense that they don't think it's a problem. Of course, it is a problem. We would say it's a big problem. It's the biggest problem. that people are avoiding controlling their senses. People are avoiding God by not controlling their senses. But if one doesn't want to make spiritual advancement, okay, fine, let the senses run wild. That's a perfect way not to make spiritual advancement. But if one wants to make spiritual advancement, one wants to be a devotee, Rupa Goswami is saying this is what it means to be a devotee, to control the senses, to control the mind, to operate on a different level. And that's why it's important. That's why he's taken the trouble to write this book, because it is important. And also, it's important in the sense that it's teaching us who is qualified to be a guru, because it's not that just anybody and everybody can become a guru necessarily. They have to have specific qualifications. And the qualifications that are being stated here are controlling the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals. They're qualified to make disciples all over the world. So that's what's being, that's the standard. You could say the gold standard. Sorry, just 1 second here. So how do we do that? How do we control the senses? And then in the book further, or actually in this purport further, Srila Prabhupada explains it. And anybody who's watching this, happens to be watching, if you have a Nectar of Instruction, which I hope you do, or you could buy one, you could take the trouble to go through the purport. And Prabhupada very nicely explains how to control the senses, which we'll discuss a little bit here. But first, just starting with mentioning or commenting on what Prabhupada says in the beginning of the purport, that the idea of atonement is brought up in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And atonement is, I don't know, maybe someone, can you look up what atonement? Because do you think you could grab the mic for Dravida Prabhu? Kanai Balai, so we could get an exact definition of atonement? Sorry for asking you to do this, Dravida Prabhu. So atonement, we'll see here. There's a exact definition. Helps.
Okay, so the verb atone means to do something good as a way to show that you're sorry about doing something bad. And atonement will probably be similar. Let me see.
Sorry, can I belie? You think you close
reconciliation. The reconciliation, reparation for an offense or injury, the reconciliation of God and humankind through the sacrificial death of Jesus Christ. So He atoned for us. We don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
That's it.
So yeah, atonement, do something good to try to make up for what you did that was bad. You feel sorry for it. So that's the implication, that you feel sorry for doing something, and you want to try to make that up, right? Make it up. Make it right. Make it right with God. Make yourself right with God. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. And I'm giving a donation to the priest. I'm giving a donation to the temple. I'm chanting Hare Krishna. I'm confessing to the priest. Please forgive me. And in terms of not doing it again, maybe some people say that, but then they keep on doing it. I'm not promising anything. I'll try my best, though. So within certain tradition, they'll say, oh, within the Catholic tradition, they'll say, okay, well, you've done this bad, so do so many Hail Marys, right? And there's different ideas like that. So yeah, this is being discussed in the Bhagavatam, and as Prabhupada's mentioning here, that there's different ways of learning. There's different ways of learning, and he says that a thief may know very well that if he gets caught stealing, or if he steals, he could be punished by the police. And so there's different ways of realizing that. You could hear about it, right, which is the best way to learn, by hearing. Second best is by seeing. Third best is by experiencing. In fourth class, you hear it, you see it, you experience it, and you can still keep on doing it. And Prabhupada says, oh, this is rascal. This is a foolish person, foolish man. I have experience of that. One of my friends growing up, anyways, his father, in many ways he's a nice guy, just a weak-hearted person. But his father, he robbed a bank here in SanDiego, and the problem is he got caught. I guess it's a problem that he robbed the bank in the first place, but the second problem is he got caught. Two problems. There was actually one bhakta, just a little. There was one bhakta here I heard. He robbed a bank here, and he wasn't living at the temple, but he would come and do service, wash pots and so on. And he robbed a local bank here in Pacific Beach. He actually got away with it. He didn't say, he said he had a gun, but he actually didn't. It was a fake, So he got away with it. And anyways, he was coming back to the temple. There's probably helicopters circling around, right? Oh, hey, where is this? Sometimes they do that. They're looking for somebody. We're looking for a man. He's got a red T-shirt on, white man with a red T-shirt on. But he actually got away with it. They never found him till a particular point. So at one point he was down at the beach, taking a walk, japa walk, whatever he was doing, and the teller who was working there saw the guy and said, okay, and called the police. And he went to jail for not a long time because he actually didn't have a gun. It was a fake thing, and somehow they knew that. And he didn't pull a gun out. So, anyways, but this, back to my friend's father, he robbed a bank, but he didn't get away. And nowadays it's becoming more and more difficult, to actually be successful now with cameras and high technology. So he didn't get away. So then he went to jail for many years. Quite some years. And then he got out. And then he was, with his family, and this is right here in SanDiego, and he robs a bank again. And what he does is he tries to make, really foolish actually. Anyways, it's too bad, but and God bless him. Krishna bless him, wherever he is. But he tries to make his way off on a bike, like a bicycle. It's a really bad way to get away. See the sirens. So yeah, this is an example of somebody who he heard, he saw, he experienced, but he kept on doing it again. So of course that's not a great situation to be in. And Prabhupada also gives the example of an elephant. So he says an elephant, these big elephants, they bathe in the river very nicely with their trunk. They have a really nice system where they could fill their trunk up with water and then, bathe themselves, and right. And then they come out of the river, and what do? They just roll right in the riverbank again, all the dirt, and they get all dirty, right? So it's like, well, yeah. Trivedi Prabhu says it's not their fault. There's not a big enough gamsha or towel for them. They couldn't. So I don't know why they do that. Maybe there's some scientific reason why elephants do that, but that's what they do. So, Prabhupada says, similarly, many people, they chant Hare Krishna and they think, oh, okay, well, and they said they do many forbidden things. And they know it's forbidden. But they say, oh, okay, well, I'll just chant. And that will cover it up. But he said that's namno balad yasya hi papa buddhi. That's committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. So it's like this false atonement. Just, I'm sorry, but it's just really kind of using the holy name to try to cover up one's sinful activities. I'll do a bunch of bad stuff, and I'll come to the temple and I'll give a donation. Or I'll do a bunch of bad stuff and I'll come to the kirtan, and it says, right, if you clap your hands, all the birds, bad karmic reactions fly up. So I'll just come and clap my hands, and then I'm all good. Clean slate. But we would just say that's cheating. That's not being genuine, sincere. So if one is Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Giridhara ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Jai. So if one is not able to live up to this standard, which practically means if one's not able to control their senses, okay, fine. On some level, that's where they are, and no one's going to, Krishna, if one is sincere, one is trying, and still not able to rise up to the standard, rise up to the occasion of controlling one's senses, then Krishna is very merciful, right? Karuna Sindhu, ocean of mercy. Unlimitedly merciful. That is the nature of God. That's the nature of Krishna. So He forgives. But one should not say, okay, well, I'm just like, I can't follow properly, and I commit sinful activity, and then I just come and I chant Hare Krishna, and then it's a clean slate. It's like this false atonement process. But if one is sincere and they just, okay, I can't control my senses, but they keep on trying to engage in Krishna consciousness over and over and over again, then gradually they will become purified. And as it's stated here, they could come to real prayaschitta, which is real atonement, which is the awakening of our dormant Krishna consciousness. So by awakening of dormant Krishna consciousness, one can live on a platform which they are not the servant of their senses. They're not controlled by their senses anymore. And they don't do things that are forbidden in the scriptures. They don't do things that are harmful for themselves and others and harmful for their Krishna consciousness. Why? Because they are in control. Not of the country, not of their family, maybe, not of the stock market, right? Not of coronavirus, not of so many things they're not in control of, but they're in control of their senses. They're the boss of their senses. So that's important. That's what Rupa Goswami is saying we should do. We should come to the real platform of atonement, prayaschitta, which is Krishna consciousness. And it says that real atonement means coming to real knowledge. So all these people who are very, all these people who are very, you could say, weak-hearted and continuously committing sinful activities and not trying to get free from them, thinking that they can't. That's another problem. People think they can't do it. And they quote scripture to help them out with that idea. Okay, well, I mean, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Means my spirit is willing to surrender to God, but the senses are too strong. I just can't do it. Sorry. So what I'm going to do, I'll go to church, I'll go to the temple, I'll give my donation, I'll sing some hymns, I'll maybe ask the priest or guru for forgiveness or something, but I can't actually come to the platform of sinlessness. That's just impossible. But Prabhupada says that is possible. And it's very possible, especially by the mercy of Sri Sri Gaur Nitai, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, and his followers, 6 Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, as we're discussing his book right now. So it is possible, and Prabhupada would criticize actually other religions. I mean, Prabhupada was quite heavy with other... I was reading some quotes the other day. It's really... I don't think I'll get into that right now, but... one thing that he said is that he would criticize other... It's not a blanket statement like all of them, but a lot of them. And specifically, he would criticize a lot of them for not teaching their followers how to live a sinless life. How to live a sinless life. Just like, for example, meat eating. Prabhupada would really harp on that with these priests and so on. Why are you not doing it, and why are you teaching your followers not to do it? This is wrong. And he would really be upfront about that. So that's just one example. And from meat eating, so many things follow. Prabhupada says, anyways, you eat meat, and you need alcohol to digest it. And then once you've eaten meat, and once you've got alcohol, then it's hard to control the other senses in relation to like illicit sex. So yeah, Prabhupada would criticize that. Why are you teaching your followers to be sinful? Why aren't you teaching them to be sinless? So it is possible if one comes to the platform of real knowledge or Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada says, by following a hygienic process, one doesn't fall sick. So by following certain principles to revive one's knowledge, tapasya, brahmacharya, austerity, celibacy, controlling the mind, controlling the senses, giving up one's possessions and charity, being truthful, clean, following the 4 regular principles of devotional service, one could come to the standard of real knowledge. One could come to the standard of Krishna consciousness, by which one could begin to learn or begin to experience preliminary stages of love for Krishna, love for God. Because the senses that are hijacked by Mr. Lust with all of his younger brothers, right? You got Kama Nuja. I think Anuja means to follow, like Ramanuja, follower of Ram. So Kama Nuja, I believe it means the younger brother or the follower of lust, which is anger. So you got Mr. Lust and all of his brothers or sisters, whatever, anger, greed, illusion, madness, all these different pride. So all of these personalities, they're actually our enemies. But people are accepting them as, these are my friends. And they think the devotees are their enemies. These guys are telling me to control my senses. They're my enemies. But my lust and my greed and all these other things, they're my friends. But that's not the case. And the greatest cheaters are the ones that act as if they were your friends, but they're actually not your friends. They're your enemies. They're trying to get something from you. Like con artists. Or people who just out and out trying to cheat you. They're acting like your friends, but they're not. So that's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that who's the greatest enemy? The uncontrolled mind. That's the greatest enemy. And therefore, Madhavendra Puri, anyways, it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Shloka Kama Dinam Katida Katida Palita Donideshas Tesham Jata Maina Kurunana Trapa No Pushanti Utsri Jayatan Atyapate Sanputam Dad labdhi buddhis. Twamayata sharanamabhaya mamyuk shvatmidase. So can you give us the translation? Yes. Yes. He's got the mic. Yes.
In how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires? They show me no mercy, yet on I've gone shamelessly trying to quench lust's unquenchable fires. But now I'm rejecting these hellish desires, for my higher intelligence now has awoken. O Krishna, O shelter of fearlessness, please let me serve you with faith that will never be broken.
Yeah. So this devotee is saying, I've tried to satisfy my enemies, lust and anger and all these different enemies so many times, and they showed me no mercy. That's the nature of enemies. They're merciless, right? And now, because my intelligence has awoken, I am taking these enemies, I'm taking these lust and greed and all these, I'm throwing them far away. I'm rejecting them, rejecting these desires. I'm rejecting these desires, and I am calling out to you, Krishna, please engage me in your service. Please engage me in your service. So it's not enough just to say, okay, well, I'm giving up. I'm not trying to satisfy these material desires anymore. I'm not going to be a servant of my senses any longer. That's not enough. But we have to engage our senses in the service of Krishna. And for that, there's a standard process, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. I don't know if I missed one, but Vandanam. So we'll do that again. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Vandanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So, hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, offering prayers to Krishna, what else? Worshipping His lotus feet, becoming His servant, making friendship, surrendering everything. Is it? So these different processes of devotional service. And as Prabhupada states here, we are already doing these processes in material life. We're hearing about so many fictitious characters, right? Hollywood, that's what Hollywood's about, a bunch of fictitious characters, heroines and heroes. The music industry, we're hearing about a bunch of musicians. What are they doing? What are they eating? What are they wearing? Hearing about them. And on and on and on. Politicians. We're hearing a lot about other people. That's a natural tendency. So we're doing that in material life. Hearing, and we're chanting, we're talking about them. We're remembering them. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam. I don't know, worshiping their lotus feet. I don't know how that's possible. They don't have lotus feet. Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So, anyways, in this way we're misdirecting our attention, our energy, our love, our affection, our service to so many bad masters, bad association. So the solution is, instead of that, we want to direct our attention, our energy, our love, our affection, our service to Krishna. And not just Krishna, but to the devotees of Krishna. Because they're together. And specifically, one cannot even approach Krishna without approaching the devotees. Right? Mahat sevam dwaram ohor vimuktis tvamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam. All right. Can you tell us that one too? Yeah, I think you have an English translation, right? Poetic. Oh, you don't. Oh, okay. Which one do you have? A similar one, right?
I did Rashadi first.
Well, what about the open the doors to liberation?
Oh, yeah. That's Kapila Dev's, right near the beginning of his teaching, Prasangamadana Pasham. Mundane affection keeps us tied to birth and death infernal, but love for sadhus opens wide the door to life eternal.
Yes, that's a similar principle.
Yeah.
The doors of liberation, the doors of Krishna consciousness open for one who associates with Mahatmas, with devotees. And the doors to suffering, illusion, open if we associate with Duratmas, or cripple-minded persons. And who's a Mahatma? Does anyone remember in the Bhagavad Gita what Krishna says? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Mahatmanas tumam parta daivim prakritimashruta.
Also the one who had many births.
Yeah. Bahunam janmanam ante ganavamam prapadite vasudevam sarvamiti sammahatma sudurlabha. So, one who has taken shelter of the spiritual energy, which Srila Prabhupada says in one lecture is Srimati Radharani, means devotional service. One who takes shelter of that spiritual energy, they are considered to be Mahatmas. And one who doesn't, and one who's completely an illusion and entrapped, entangled in this world, Duratmas. So it should be clear who we associate with and who we don't. So yeah, as Prabhupada says, there's speech, there's anger, there's which I'm humbly requesting or hoping, and everybody could read the purport on their own free time because we didn't finish it. But yeah, these things should be controlled, because without controlling these things, one's consciousness just becomes hijacked. And it's very difficult to be Krishna consciousness without controlling one's senses. Practically, you can't. We can't. So another way in which we can, or another aspect that we could discuss in relation to controlling our senses is Srila Rupa Goswami in his Nectar devotion. He explains that there's 5 most potent forms of devotional service. So, worshiping the deity, chanting the holy names, associating with devotees, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and residing in a holy place. Yeah. So Prabhupada would say that if one can live in the temple, okay, great. And if they can't, okay, live by the temple. You can come to the temple regularly. And if you can't live by the temple, then you live a little distance. Make your home into a temple. Of course, you could say under any circumstance you should make your home into a temple. But what does a temple mean? A temple means, what is a holy place? To create a holy place. What does that mean? It means to engage the household in those other 4 processes of devotional service. Chanting the holy names, inviting devotees to one's household under normal circumstances. Right now, I guess we can't invite so many to a household, but under normal circumstances, invite devotees, chant, invite devotees, have an altar where there's a deity, or at least picture Krishna, Srimati Radharani Krishna, Lord Chaitanya. And hear Srimad Bhagavatam, which nowadays one could spend their whole day hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Before, in days of yore, you could probably do that too, but technology has really, you could tune in to SanDiego Bhagavatam in the morning, and then right after that you could listen to a lecture by so-and-so Swami, and then, tune in to Juhu, tune in to you could spend your whole day hearing Bhagavatam classes. And what Keshav Bharati Goswami reads on Facebook, so many Prabhupada lectures. You could just hear Bhagavatam all day. Amazing. All glories to technology for Krishna consciousness. So Yeah, engaging in these four processes makes a place a holy place. So those who do not live in the temple, which are most, they should make their homes a holy place. And if they don't have deities, they should get deities, or they should get pictures, or they should take guidance from their spiritual master or from senior devotees about what they should do. Should I get deities? What deities should I get? What should I name them? Or should I just get pictures? How do I arrange my altar? Right? They should do that if they haven't done it already. And if they have done it already, they should make their altar better. There's always ways to make it better. And yeah, again, invite devotees over. Prabhupada mentions these are the 6 loving exchanges. Dadati priti grinnati guyamaikati prichati bhunkte bunjate chaiva shadvidhim priti lakshanam. So priti lakshanam. The loving exchanges between devotees, offering prasadam, accepting prasadam, offering gifts, accepting gifts, revealing one's mind and confidence, inquiring confidentially. These are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee to another. So, and Prabhupada mentions in the purport, one should invite devotees to their house, have kirtan, says feed them prasadam. One should do that, because this is how loving relationships develop, which are very important in Krishna consciousness. And then chanting the holy name, one should chant regularly every day. That's what Rupa Goswami also says in this book. He says, Syat Nama Krishna, right? He says, I believe it's that one, that the tongue inflicted by jaundice tastes sweet things to be bitter. But by engaging and tasting those sweet things on a regular basis, sugar candy, the examples given, then the natural sweetness of that sugar candy is experienced. So similarly, by chanting every day, he says carefully chanting every day, the experience of the sweetness of the holy name can be experienced. So one should chant every day. And as Prabhupada said, at least 16 rounds a day. And if one's not doing that, then they should try to make their way up to that. 2 rounds, 4 rounds, 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 12 rounds, 16 rounds. I do it every day, and I'm not anybody special. I'm born here in America, which, yeah, it's not a holy place by nature. So, and I grew up, in a more or less materialistic way. So, but I'm chanting 16 rounds every day. So if I could do it. Someone may say, well, I work a lot. Well, we could say you're not working much now, possibly, because of the situation. But even if one is working a lot, I know many devotees who are very busy working on the outside, and they make time, or they set aside time to chant every day, 16 rounds. So it's possible, if one puts their mind to it. And one should read, or one should hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So again, tuning into so many lectures is available throughout the world. But also one should have Srimad Bhagavatam. One should have it in their home. One should have the full set of Srimad Bhagavatam in their home, 18 volumes, 12 cantos. And one should also have the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, 9 volumes, in their home. Or else, it's very hard to say that it's a holy place 100%. Because those, Srila Prabhupada labored so hard to produce those books, to translate them, to comment on them. He spent a lot of time, a lot of energy on that. Those specifically, these books were his main works, Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So in order to complete one's home and converting it into a holy place, one must have these books, Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And if one doesn't have them, then they should get them as soon as possible. Because, like, imagine if somebody came into this temple. Imagine if Prabhupada came into this temple. Of course, Prabhupada is here, but Prabhupada walked into this temple and he said, "I want a Madhya Lila. I want Madhya Lila chapter 20. I want to read from that right now, and I want to give a talk on that. So can you please get me that book?" And then we scatter the whole temple. We look in all the ashram rooms. We look on the whole property. "Oh, sorry, Prabhupada, we can't find that." "Okay, can you find me an Adi Lila? Can you find me any Chaitanya Charitamrita volumes?" We scatter the whole property, nothing. "Sorry, Prabhupada, we don't have it." Prabhupada, hypothetically. Now, if that was the case, Prabhupada would be very upset. He would, "I work so hard for you to have these books, and this is a temple, this is my temple, ISKCON, International Society, and you don't have my books in your temple," he would be really upset. And he would say, then if hypothetically, Prabhupada would say, "Okay, well, can you bring me a Bhagavatam?" And we scatter, and we can't. There's no Bhagavatams in the whole temple. He'd probably be really upset. There's a case like this, actually, similar. And Borijan Prabhu, whatever, great devotee, and we could learn from his experiences. But he was there, picked up Prabhupada in Hong Kong airport, and took Prabhupada to a hotel. Prabhupada was there, and Prabhupada asked for Bhagavad Gita. And Borijan Prabhu looked for Bhagavad Gita, and he didn't have a Bhagavad Gita there. And then Prabhupada said, "Oh, you don't have a Bhagavad Gita? What do you have? Just your smiling face?" There's a whole series where Prabhupada was giving him a hard time. But so he wasn't happy about that. He said, "You should have Bhagavad Gitas." So similarly, I would say, or we could say, that if the injunction is one should make their home into a temple, into a holy place, then we would say the question is, where's the Bhagavatam? Or the question is, where's the Chaitanya Charitamrita? And if Prabhupada was walking to any house that was said to be a holy place, or said to be created or converted into a temple, that's what he would want to see. He would want to see the Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, without a doubt. Because that's what it means to have a holy place, to have the scriptures there. And it's not expensive, and it's not very difficult to get. There's no excuses whatsoever. It's a reasonable price and fully available. So, yeah. And in this way, if we take shelter of the injunctions, then we will become the master of our senses, which is advised we do. And then upon becoming the master of our senses, the master of our minds, we could become pure devotees, and then that's what Prabhupada wanted. If we could just do that, then we're fulfilling his desires. Yeah. Okay, so does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay.
Burijan in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So recently when I was working on the Vyasa Puja book, I had occasion to look up that whole pastime. I forget exactly why. But what was happening there, I don't know, 71, 72, whatever it was, Burijan Prabhu and his wife, they were, alone there in Hong Kong, and they were running a center, but they got influenced by kind of a little splinter group from Hawaii, and they were starting to, get a little deviated. So Prabhupada went there specifically to save them.
Yeah. And
Prabhupada was working on, on his translation on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Madhya 19, which is the instructions to Rupa Goswami. And I forget which verse it was, but it's right after that famous verse, Brahmanda Brahmadekon Bhagyavan Jeev, that a fortunate soul by the mercy of the Guru, and Krishna gets the seed of the creeper of devotion, And Prabhupada had these nice purports, and he's talking about the importance of association, of staying in association devotees. And he's dealing with this whole thing with Burijan, where he's trying to, straighten him out, and confirm him again to ISKCON and so forth like that. So, I read this in a book by Satsrup Maharaj. It's not the Lilamrita. I forget what it is, but it's Life with the Pure Devotee or something like that. So he's talking about this in there. And what he reveals is that Prabhupada's dictating, and he's dictating something specifically related to the situation with Burijan. Prabhu. Now I when I was revising the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I came across this passage that I'm going to read, but it was missing one very important sentence, which I then restored, and he encouraged me to leave it exactly as it is, and he told me the whole thing. So I'll just read this sentence. And even if one thinks that there are many pseudo-devotees or non-devotees in the Krishna consciousness society, still one should stick to the society. If one thinks the society's members are not pure devotees, one can keep direct company with the spiritual master, and if there is any doubt, one should consult the spiritual master. So what had been left out was the part about still one should stick to the society. I don't know if that was intentional or if they skipped a line or whatever. But what's really fascinating is that I discovered by reading this in Satsru Maharaj's book, which I can find for you, that after quoting this, without the part of sticking to society, because he was quoting straight from the Chaitanya Charitamrita before I had revised it, the 75 version. After that, it says, Prabhupada asked Burijan to come into his room and listen to the dictation tape, a part about sticking to the society, which I had never heard that before. So I encouraged Sadhu Maharaj to restore that particular part of the sentence in there, because that was the essential thing. But that's, you
encouraged him to add it to his book.
I'm sorry?
You encouraged him to add it to his book.
I wrote to him to restore that, and so forth. But what's really amazing about that is how Prabhupada was so concerned, to encourage him, that he went personally there. Yeah. And of course, he was saved, and he went on to do so many wonderful things. Yes.
Yeah, in that book, Glorious Master by Burijan Prabhu, he describes some of those interactions he had with Prabhupada. And he says how he went into the room and Prabhupada said, "Come and listen to the dictation."
It's in there too.
Yeah,
because this one's by Satsru Maharaj, who he sells it, but I didn't read that one yet.
And then he said that when Prabhupada was speaking, it was like arrows on tapes, because there were tapes, that were, it wasn't CDs or audio, it was tapes being.
Yeah, in those days it was tape.
So he entitled that particular section of his book "Arrows on Tapes," like arrows. So he felt like arrows were Prabhupada was shooting arrows at him, to help him. Obviously.
Help him, yeah.
But when he went there, Prabhupada, when he went there to Hong Kong, Burijan Prabhu, they arranged a really nice car, and I think Satsrup Maharaj was in the front, and then Prabhupada and Burijan Prabhu and his wife were in the back. And then Prabhupada started asking Burijan Prabhu questions, because he knew what was going on, how he was kind of, going off a little sidetrack. So then it said that his wife closed the partition. The partition, so that Satsrup Maharaj couldn't hear. She closed it. And then Prabhupada asked Burijan Prabhu a question. He said, "So are you having a morning program?" Because Burijan, he was running a temple, and part of a temple is a morning program, and then Prabhupada said, "Oh, Burijan Prabhu, oh well, I mean, there's not many people coming, and we kind of we do something, but not exact." And then Prabhupada said, "Oh, whose spiritual master? Whose disciple are you?" It was like really kind of strong, and a few other things he said.
One other thing, you talking about celibacy and the atonement and the whole thing. This Back to Godhead is a real treasure trove of stuff. And there's an article here, I don't know if you've ever read this, but this by Rabindra Swarup. Did you read this one?
No,
Celibacy, Exquisite Torture, or a Yes to God. He visits a seminary, Catholic ceremony right in the middle of Philadelphia. And this is an account of his interaction with them and what he discovered. And it's amazing, how they're having such a hard time, because they don't have the process of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
I can get all your.
Okay, I'd like to check that out, yeah. All right, is there a question or comment? Mr. Jamal?
There's a few comments and I have a question. So, Mahatma Mataji from Mexico City says, Hare Krishna, devotees of the Lord, thanks for class, good examples, good night. Obeisances, your servant, Mahatma.
Chai, Hare Krishna.
Danavari Mataji says, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance to you, Prabhu. Very nice class. Covered lots of points with scriptures and shlokas. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Jai, Danavari.
Enjoy Madhava Prabhu says, Balaram ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Madhava ki jai. Jai Madhava ki jai.
Okay. And
yeah. So you had a question, Jamal?
Yeah, I had a question. So you're discussing how every household should have the Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita.
That's what Prabhupada said, yeah. He said every respectable gentleman and lady should have a set.
Respectable gentleman, okay. Well, what about for one who just doesn't have the intention of making their home into a temple? To be more specific, I was thinking of, because we're doing this, we're trying to distribute more Srimad Bhagavatams, and I was thinking of getting my parents to get one in their home, but they don't have any intention of making their home into a temple. They have regular materialistic and sinful activity going on at home. So what, is that intelligent? Is it good to have a Srimad Bhagavatam in such a place?
Well,
and if so, what are the benefits?
It seems that Prabhupada, instituting his transcendental book distribution throughout his society, his thing was mass distribution, which means to everybody. And he would be very happy if the whole world and every house had a Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. He'd be very happy, probably. So, yeah, everybody should have the books. They're all auspicious, so they're good. They're all good for a person. It is, you're installing Krishna, you're installing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the house. That's true. But yeah, all the books actually are like deities. So you're giving people, say, like deities. But that's what Prabhupada wanted, because it's transcendental knowledge and it's purifying. And just having it in one's home, it's auspicious, it's good, to do that. Prabhupada went as far as to say, it's a little bit of a different point, but he said you should make dolls, Gornitai dolls, he said. And you could go sell them, to everybody. And he said anybody and everybody. And they put them in their house. And he said you could teach people. You offer a flower, you offer incense for good luck or something. He said they get purified. And he wasn't making a distinction between meat eaters, not meat eaters, because Gornitai. In one particular point, he said that. Gornitai is all merciful, But, yeah, definitely with the books, that was one of Prabhupada's main things. Krishna book. Prabhupada said, mass distribute it. So he wants as many books as possible to go out. So that means whoever, there was one devotee, one devotee said that, I think it was Vaisheshika Prabhu. Anyway, somebody said, they're with Akrura, that Prabhupada disciple. I think his name's Akrura, maybe something else. They were up in San Francisco, and there was this homeless person, and Akrura was showing the books to this homeless person. And devotee was thinking that, he's a homeless guy. I mean, he's not going to take the books and, whole Bhagavatam set, come on. But over time, apparently, he saved up his money, and the homeless guy got a whole set of Bhagavatams. Yeah, and he was reading them. So, I think he stored them in like some of these facilities, they let you store things for you, if you're homeless. Oh, we'll store your stuff, we'll give you a locker, So he stored his books nicely, and he would read them gradually. So, yeah. There was actually one guy here in SanDiego. He was very, big bunch of stuff and bike and homeless, and he bought a Bhagavatam here from the SanDiego temple. So, yeah.
Where's an ideal place in their home where one should keep their Srimad Bhagavatam set? Maybe you could specify it to my question, or my parents' home.
Maybe the living room. You know better than me. It's your parents. I'm not sure, but I guess wherever they feel it works. It's up to them, up to the person where they put it. As long as they put it respectfully on a bookshelf, All right. Okay. Nectar of Instruction Ki Jai. Srila Rupa Goswami Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.